Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Love.Truth.Wellness. I'm Jamie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carolyn.
And we are the co-hosts of this Christ-centered podcast where we lead with love, speak the truth without reservation, and affirm that everyone deserves to abide in wellness. What are we talking about today, Sister Carolyn?
I believe we're talking about gender roles and finances.
Something that you're in the right vein. So we're continuing our dating series, Dating God's Way. This should be like episode 13 or 14. We'll see how it plays out, in which we are discussing gender roles. And I know you said finances, but I guess that is it. That's what we said. Gender role and finances. I think, okay, yeah. All right, sister. My bad. And we felt like those two topics, we didn't want to separate them because I think that they kind of play off of one another, and we're going to delve into it from a few different angles. So go ahead, buckle up, get ready for another wild ride as we unpack this topic. So what did we say? Godly conversation with a laid back vibe or something.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So we're going to look at this from a few different angles. First of all, gender roles. This is like a hot topic today because people have very definitive opinions. It's either you're highly traditional or you feel like traditionalism should be thrown out the window. And it's hard to navigate it this day and age because women are independent. Like, you know, we often talk about how, as being single, unmarried women, if it was a few decades ago, let alone a few centuries ago, we'd be booty out. Like, you could not support yourself, pay your own way, live on your own and everything because people weren't hiring women.
No.
Not for jobs that paid anything of substance enough to support yourself. So people often got married, yes, for love, yes, to have a family, but also for practicality because a woman literally couldn't make it on her own back in the day. So there is this, resistance between traditional gender roles and the independent nature of women these days, which I am grateful for. And not even just back in the day, if we were living in a different country, in a developing nation, we would have those same challenges as people in the U.S. had back in the day. So I want to say that women, we are independent women. We were raised to be independent women. Y'all know we have shared our history. And our mother was pretty adamant in saying to us, always be able to take care of yourself. Like, don't wait and depend on a man. Be able to take care of yourself. And sometimes when you are so independent, it can be challenging to let go of some of that because if you're in a relationship, it's give and take.
A relationship is interdependence.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
independence.
There's that challenge. But anyway, I just started running my mouth. What do you think of gender and gender roles in general?
As far as it in general, or as it relates to dating, or
however you want to take it, girl. You the co-host too. However you want to take it.
Well, you know, the nighttime is not the right time.
It's not nighttime. It's like 4 o'clock.
It's winding down.
Oh my gosh, y'all! You better get it together.
Well, okay. Well, like you said, our upbringing was not traditional. I mean, it started off traditional, but our parents were married, and I think part of our mother's emphasis on us being independent was because of what happened in her marriage. She was married, but essentially it was even as they were married and together, it was like she was a single parent because, our dad wasn't always
consistent.
Yeah, right.
And in this instance, since we have mentioned our stepfather a few times, we're talking about our biological father. Yes. God rest his soul.
So he was not always around, or that could be because of work, because of just
lack of
his
maturity.
Ways.
They were young, lack of maturity, and all kinds of other issues that are not ours really to share. But I see where you're going with this, is that she grew up in a very traditional household.
Yes, 2 parents. Our grandfather was the
head of the household,
our primary.
Although our grandmother was extremely strong-willed and opinionated. From what unfortunately, she passed before I was born. Before you were born too. So we didn't get the pleasure of knowing her personally. But from what we've heard, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in being a woman of substance who spoke her mind. But what you're saying is that there were extremely traditional roles, like taking care of the household, being the provider. They separated those things a lot, from our understanding. So you're thinking that she went into her marriage assuming,
thinking that that's what it was going to, continue, because that was what was modeled before her.
And I remember recently, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was speaking with her recently, not too long ago, because I had asked her, I was like, have you ever I asked my mom, had you ever read Mama Flora's Family? Because we were talking about just our history, being the descendants of sharecroppers, and in Mama Flora's Family, which is a book that Alex, I was about to say Alvin, I was about to do the dance. Alex Haley had started, and then the historian finished it for him. It was a book he started and he passed away. And this was going to focus on his maternal, because Roots was his paternal.
I believe so, yes.
So one of those. And in the story, there was the husband in the story was going out to glean, kind of like what we talked about with Ruth, to glean the leftovers, because he was like, winter is coming. They had sold their cotton, and they had not even broken even. They were owing money, so they literally did not have enough money. He was like, my wife doesn't even have a pair of bloomers, a decent pair of bloomers,
underwear for
young this folks. Is back in the day.
No, but I'm just saying.
He said bloomers in the book. And he went out, and they had just passed a law that said that people weren't allowed to do that anymore, to gather up the little bits that remained. And he ended up, spoiler alert, if you plan on reading the book, he ended up going out and he got shot. And he drug himself back to their little shack, all bloodied, and died in her arms. And my mother was like, no, I never read the book. But, my father, there were times when he would go out and he was like, I'm coming back with food, or I'm coming back with whatever we need. And he would be gone all day, and he would come back and provide for his family. So to have a man of that integrity and that commitment to his family, you growing up, you probably would kind of assume that that's just what men do, even though it's not always the case. Kind of like how we had to overcome growing up with our stepfather, assuming that all men are inconsistent and abusive. It was the opposite in a good way. So
you said all that to say.
I was just giving, it just came to my mind. I was giving some backstory to our family history, and but go on with what you were saying.
I say she do this to me, and I'll be knowing what
I've been all around the mulberry bush.
Like, what was I trying to say?
You were saying about the why she wanted us to be so independent.
Oh, okay.
I remember. I get her back on track. I get her off track, and I get her back on track. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. It's the overemphasis on making sure that we were able to take care of ourselves, and even later on in life, how she had health problems. Even in that situation, she really emphasizes, like, because once this was I would say pre-save thinking, because she knew of God, but she had
been raised up in the church.
Yes, but she hadn't given her life to the Lord. So her emphasis was on, you make sure you save some money and make sure you have this, and that. But of course,
you never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen. But of course, as she got older and as we came to have a relationship with God as a family, we learned that our true dependence was on our heavenly
God
Father.
is provider.
Yeah,
so there
He's
is some
provider,
wisdom,
yes.
practical wisdom in that, in
Right.
having your own. And then, of course, as you were mentioning her sickness, the abuse in our household did escalate as her dependence on him increased because she wasn't able to work and provide as she always had before.
Yeah, because this is keeping real. In our house, she was the
primary breadwinner.
She made the most money. And so,
that's the story for another day. But so that emphasis on independence, I don't think it's unique to us. I think especially in the African American community that the strong Black woman is something that is perpetuated proudly so in some instances throughout the generations, because we do carry a heavy load. Just facts.
I mean, yeah, just because historically there was no man in the home, and it was because the man was kept. We were kept separate, even though
you talking about in slavery times. I'm like, girl, what you talking about? Okay.
No, I'm just saying, historically, or we didn't always know if our man was going to come home because those just were the dangerous times that we were living in. So,
and that can go all the way up to Jim Crow.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So there was this emphasis on women. You got to be able to
hold it down.
Yeah, you had to be all things.
You had to be able to hold it down, and we still holding it down.
Right.
We interrupt this broadcast for a brief PSA. Unfortunately, a few minutes of our conversation was deleted due to a lack of memory. We are going to pick the conversation back up, in which Carolyn was asking me about some personal examples of when I experienced paying for a date, since we're talking about gender roles and finances. So just to catch you up, so sorry about that. Let's get back to the podcast. So there was a time where I did date this one dude who was not about that life, and it didn't work out because I was highly uncomfortable in that situation. It was not for me.
I mean, so what did he do that made you feel like he wasn't like the other guys you dated? What exactly? Or what specifically?
Well, first of all, when we would, it was only 1 or 2 dates. I can't even get it out that we had. He up there looking for me to pay my portion.
Oh. Okay. Huh.
And I had never had that to happen to me. So, and I know there's some people, we're going to talk about it. They go Dutch.
Right. Yes.
As they say, but I'm not one of them people. And I was like trying something new, and I realized it's not for me. It's not for me at all.
So I just want to picture it in my head. So y'all are at
girl,
dinner.
you being too fancy. I was really trying. And this poor,
where were y'all?
This poor soul, I don't know, some Chinese, and it was like to go. We wasn't even sitting.
Oh, okay. And so y'all had met at the restaurant, or?
I think I picked him up. Okay. This was totally out of pocket, out of character for me. I was really, you know who I'm talking about? Oh. The one whose name I could never remember. Not the recent one. If you watch my vlogs, I couldn't remember his name ever. But this is while I was dating him.
This was in
Memphis. While I was dating him, I was having problems remembering his name.
So you had picked him up.
Girl.
Y'all went to.
And I think, what was it? I don't know if he had paid for something. He's like, I gotta pay for this too, or something. I was like, so it did not work out. And then I ended up going on a mini little road trip to Candace's birthday party with him. And I came back. As soon as I hit the door, I called him. Even though I had been in the car with him all them hours, I called him, was like, this ain't gonna work out. This is not gonna work out. Because on that trip, I paid for the reservations, and I'm assuming I'm going on a trip with a dude. He's going to pay for gas or something, and he didn't pay for anything. And I was like, I could have had more fun on my own, as I normally do.
So he never did pull out his wallet. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's different.
That's real different for me. Yes. And it'll never happen again. It's not for me. It's not for me. Anyway, we were leading with the love in this situation. Love, yes. And did you have something else you wanted to?
Well, you said we're going to talk about it in another.
You go. What is it?
Well, because I think we talked about it. So nowadays, it is more common, I believe, for like you said, people to go Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more traditionalist. I don't like that.
Well, okay. So we're leading with the love. We're not just talking about what we think and how we move. Mm-hmm. We're thinking about anyone that may be watching. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad we started off with the history of traditionalism and why. Mm-hmm. So because dating is supposed to be a precursor to your relationship, right, and when you're committed. Mm-hmm. And I think that traditionally back in the day, it was understood that the man would pay because when y'all got married, mm-hmm, the man was going to be the primary breadwinner. Mm-hmm. He was going to be the one, and some old school men, they're still this way. Like, I take care of the mortgage. Mm-hmm. I don't care how much you make. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's more than what I make. I'm the man. I provide our home. Mm-hmm. So it was easy. You didn't have this conversation about who was going to pay because it was understood that I am trying to acquire a wife.
Right.
And I am a man who has my affairs in orders, right, and I'm trying to woo her and show her the lifestyle to which she will become accustomed if we get married. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to show her a good time. And of course, I'm going to pay. Now, like you said, it's different. It's very difficult for any household, most households, mm-hmm, to survive in today's economy, especially in today's society, on one income. So usually both people work, whether it's part-time, one of them working, if they have small kids or something, however they work it out, usually both people are working.
Yes.
And since that is the new norm, mm-hmm, of our society, should it influence the way in which we date? And I think that's where you came in with, like, most people do go Dutch because they're anticipating when we get married, we're splitting mm-hmm bills, we're both contributing anyway, so why should dating be any different?
Mm-hmm. I understand the logic.
You understand the logic, but you're not with it for yourself. Even though what we said at the beginning is that neither one of us plan on ever getting married and just not working. No. So it's not like you're going to be expecting him to take care of you. And even me, when I say, I don't believe in paying for dates, mm-hmm, I don't anticipate getting married and not contributing to the household, right, and taking mm-hmm care of things. So why is that? Why do we have that mentality? And why is it so important that mm-hmm the man pays?
I think it comes back to the art or the pursuit. It's in my mind, that's what mm-hmm it comes back to, because if you want to get with me, you trying mm-hmm to pursue me, then I feel like you should want to, I guess, I don't know, treat me or, mm-hmm, show me a good time. And I'm not talking about, like, you don't have to fly me out or private jets or very expensive dinners.
It's the 1%ers. Don't let... we getting off. Mm-hmm. I really want to go somewhere with that. We getting off on a tangent.
Another episode.
No, it can be. It's this episode now. Like, who has access to a private jet? I haven't met anyone.
I haven't met anyone.
And it's a very small percentage of people who mm-hmm have that kind of money, but mm-hmm yet people act like that's the lifestyle they want to live. Mm-hmm. And I can get into that as well, because I was thinking, when this idea to talk about this subject came to me yesterday, I was thinking last night, I'm like, finances and dating are interconnected, mm-hmm, because people have different levels of lifestyles. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're dating a man who has a lifestyle in which he goes on vacation mm-hmm once a quarter, yeah, or biannually, and he likes to go to really exotic places. That's his reward for working hard, and that's just the lifestyle he leads, and he mm-hmm has the funds to do so. And then he want to date somebody like me. That's not my testimony, at least not yet.
Right.
I don't have that kind of money. So some people would say, now, depending on the type of man, he'd be like, I don't care. I like you. I want to take you with me, even though you can't afford to do things the way I do it. I want to take you with me. And that could create conflict, because I could be like, even though I don't mind a man paying for dinner and everything for me, I'm like, I don't know if I'm on the level where I want you to spend that type of money on me to be traveling the world, so to speak. And is that taking away experiences because I might be prideful or he might be annoyed? Right. And it's like, should he not live the life he wants to live and not take the woman he wants to take? Should I compromise and allow this man, who is not my husband at this point? That's another thing. Like, I don't want him investing all this in me. Right. You know, at this point, are we denying ourselves experiences because we are not on the same level financially as far as our lifestyles? Well, how do you navigate that?
I guess that's where communication will come in, where you would have to say, I mean, look, explain your standpoint, and then he can explain his standpoint, and then y'all kind of come to an agreement or a compromise in the middle. I mean, because it could be the opposite of that.
I was thinking that too.
Where it's like like, what if he came to you like, well, you know, I want to plan this vacation, but he's nickel and diming you every, like, we don't go half, and you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. Like, now, how would that make you feel? So,
well, you know the type of men I deal with at this point. that would not be an issue.
It'd be like, he got it down to the sense of how we gonna split.
And then I didn't know that's where you want, but I was thinking, what if it's the opposite, in that it's a woman, and see how that changes things. If it's a woman who has the lifestyle that affords her those opportunities, and she's with a man, like, say, you know, blue collar or whatever, and he can't afford to do all that, what does it do to a male? Well, these days, I don't think it's a lot of men that would not care. They do not mind being taken care of. But for, like, let's say a traditional man, what is the compromise there? Because you don't want to hurt his ego, but it's like, I'm trying to live.
Yeah, I feel like this is a subject, like, we need to have a man.
A man's perspective on it.
Perspective, and see, you know, what they think.
What they say. Well, we don't.
I know.
At this point, I mean, I can try to call some later people and see what's what, but
come and revisit
as of right now. And I was also thinking, we just talking, we don't have the answers. I was also thinking about why people say, I only date people who make X amount of money. Like, our lifestyles have to align. I think it's because they faced this issue before.
Maybe.
And that is why. And maybe they don't always explain it, you know, in a way that people can understand. So if you are someone who is an elitist, and you have worked hard for what you got so that you can be an elitist, and it is important to you to have all these experiences. So because you don't want to have these uncomfortable conversations and you don't want to compromise, which is a subject we can revisit in a minute, that compromising, you have decided that I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want somebody making me feel bad because I have money and I spend it. But like you said, somebody nickeling and diming me. I work hard for my money and I spend it how I want to. And this is how I want to. So to avoid those conversations, they're like, I date people that are running the same circles as me, so we don't have to have these conversations. If I want to go and take off for Italy or Spain or something every few months, because I got it like that, I want to be with someone who's like, yeah, I can book that. Yeah, I can book that. I can do that too. And is that something people should be looking for in dating? Because if you can't compromise in dating, is that something, do you want to compromise in your marriage? Do you want to be with someone who's saying, you just went to Acapulco and now you have an impromptu, one of your girlfriends getting married and you got to go again, and that's money coming out the house? It could be a problem if you have a large travel budget. And I'm saying this because I hear from so many young people, all of a sudden everybody got to travel. Like, it is super important. Like, they making lifelong decisions based off this travel. So that's why I'm using it as an example. I'm serious.
Lifelong, like what?
Like they're choosing who to date. You're eliminating
because
potential mates.
You don't travel, then I can't.
Yeah, or they don't even want to date. Like, girl, you on the apps? Don't you hear it? That's everybody's hobby is traveling.
I don't really be on the apps.
Well, when I was on there, everybody was traveling. It was super important. Where have you been and where are you going?
Yeah. I think it's social media and
the lifestyle. I don't, I'm not knocking you, but I don't think that should be the basis for choosing, like eliminating people based upon the fact that they haven't gone anywhere. Now I would be eliminated. Thank you. Now I did date it, and this is different. There's different people handle it different ways. I did date a man who was very much into his travel. His only concern, he didn't care that I hadn't been anywhere. He was like, I would love to take you everywhere. He did not care. He was just, are you open? Because I think he had came across women, they just had no interest. I'm like, no, I'm interested. I just never been able to afford it. Right. And at the time, this is when we had first moved here. So I really didn't have a job, like traditional job at that point. And he's like, oh, I love it. That way you're available to just travel with me. You can just come with me when I'm working and everything. And that was kind of scary. He was trying to pick me up and take me everywhere. So, but that was his perspective. He was like, no, this is perfect. I want to be with someone that I can show. It'll be nice that you haven't experienced it because then I can be the one to show you. But there are others who would be like, I don't want to be with this woman. Yeah. She ain't got hardly no job. Come up on my level. Thank you. Get on my level. Get on my level. She ain't hardly got no job. She ain't making a lot of money. She ain't been nowhere and everything. And they would eliminate.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think there are, because like you said back in the day, women needed a man to take care of them because you left your parents home where your dad was supposed to be like your protector, your covering, and then you went into your husband.
And then you couldn't get no mortgage and everything on your own. You couldn't get no decent job. I mean, let's just be plain. Even if you were independent minded, your opportunities were extremely limited.
You still had to have someone, a man act on your anyway. Or you just do like we used to do, hide it in you. I know the mattress, put it in a can, whatever. But anyway, but I think now there are not a lot of. I shouldn't say a lot. Actually, on the one hand, I do want a protector, provider, and all of that. But then you still want your independence and all of that. And I guess that's where sometimes the lines get blurred because like me, it's like, well, you can't have. You want your cake, we have your cake and eat it too. Like you want me to do this, and this, but then you want this.
What is this? And break it down.
Like, okay. So like, I think a lot of times as women, well, I would say me, we want a man who is able to, like, if for some reason, let's say I do lose my job and I want to say, I don't want to work no more. I'm having a rough time. Can we make it on just his one income? Is that all right with you? And
so that's like totally renegotiating the terms of your contract.
Yeah.
So you want him to have the mentality of I got you.
Right.
Now you can have that mentality, but reality is can the brother get you?
Exactly.
Because most of the time when people get married, when they're applying for these mortgages and card notes and everything, they're using both incomes.
Yeah.
So the premise is you need both incomes to pay those bills.
I guess my thing is like, let's say for some reason I can't work. I want to be able to rely on you. Like you said, they got me. Like you going to do whatever you got to do to make sure that we're good.
So that's different from I just don't want to work.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
but then the inverse is true. If something were to happen to him, you would say, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep us afloat because you're not able to right now. Right. That's just commitment. That's marriage. That's
But I think the dating is a precursor because you asking me to pay for our meal, or I don't know.
you're going back to the original question, which is like, why is it so important that the man pays when you're out dating?
I feel like it's like it's like you telling me that's not your mentality to me. So, is that right? I don't know. It's probably not, but that's just what in my head. That's what I think.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
I don't know. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's how I think.
Because we are both still single, so obviously we don't have the answers. We just talking it through. We trying to figure it out just like y'all. But the reason I say the leading with love is because I do like to explore different perspectives, and that's why we're going to start having some guests come on to offer different perspectives or different experiences, life experiences, so it's not just biased to us. I'm trying to figure out for me why it's so important, and I'm thinking about the men that I have dated for like extended, not just a couple of dates, like the Chinese food, excuse me. Chinese food, Lord help me. But that I have dated extensively, they have always made more than me, which is not hard. Working in social services, it's not hard. And they have always been, the term alpha male has been misconstrued in so many ways. I've only dated
one alpha, and I loved it.
Thank girl.
I loved it. It was just the best feeling.
I'm just saying, it's a reason why that's all I fool with. And that's also because I'm a very strong personality, and I like to be with someone that I don't have to tone myself down. He gonna match my energy, okay, when it comes to things. But the reason I've always been attracted to that is because I expect that if I had chosen to marry any of those men, they would have continued to care for me in that way. Like I'm telling you, they take care of me. They taking care of me. Like I've had.
I know you just walking out the house and you saying you ain't got no purse.
Girl. And he called me out on that. He's like, so you just go out with me, you don't even take a purse. I was like, for what? Which was silly because I needed at least my ID in case something happened. But I sure would strut on out there with not a dime on my person because I knew he was gonna take care of me. And I've never been the type of woman to allow men to just dating somebody, let them pay your bills. But when I was in a relationship and I was a little short, I went to him and I expected him to take care of it, and he did. I'm just saying. So I would expect the same, that if I had chosen to marry any of those type men that I was with, like you said, I expect them to do whatever it takes to take care of their family. So I guess that's why I roll like that. And hear me clearly. I was not no woman, and I'm not mad at you if you are, that expected them to be buying you designer bags and all of this other foolery. When I'm with you, you could just say, let's go for a walk at the park. Let's get some ice cream. Like, I did not expect you to constantly be spending all of your money on me. I just want you to have the mentality that I am the man, and the man is supposed to care for his woman financially.
Well, I would say, I guess one of the guys I did date, the one that we talked about where he was not honest, but he did offer, like when we were talking about like my car was coming down, he was like, well, do you need some money? You need me to pay for it? And I was like, well, you don't know.
I wonder if you had said
I was like,
he knew it was too early, because when you're dating and you're getting to know somebody, it was too early for you. He probably knew the type of woman you were, that you weren't just going to take money from this man that you just met. It's not like y'all. Like I said, when we together, I have no problem saying, I need a little help with this. You know? But in it, some man I'm just now talking to, I would never. And I think he knew that about you. Because I wonder if you would say, I mean, he didn't have no money. That was the whole point.
He said he was perpetrating.
He just wanted to make the offer and get brownie points.
Well, I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, he got you on that.
He got me. Now, I don't know. I guess what would our reaction be? Like, let's say, okay, first date, first few dates. Let's say you've been in a relationship for, I don't know what's a long time, like 6 months.
I would say like 6 months.
6 months, and you know, I mean,
y'all are exclusive.
Yeah, you're exclusive. I mean, he has paid for everything. Now, if you come out and he's like, well, you know, been on a little short. In that instance,
a little shorter than what?
Like I don't know, like going out somewhere and he's like, well, you know, or let's say, you know, I'm a little short. He said he's a little short. Like, I can pay for the movies, but can you pay for dinner? What would your reaction be in that instance? On your face is
I don't know. We're not in our like teens and 20s where that should be an issue because the whole point, we're doing dating God's way. So you're looking for a husband.
Right.
So do you really want a husband who can't afford a movie?
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But if we're talking about the instance where we're saying, you know, one income ain't going. I mean, I get what you're saying. But I'm trying to be devil's advocate.
Stop advocating for him. I know I can work on that. Go ahead. Go ahead with your advocacy. Go ahead. But I'm literally trying to wrap my mind around what you're saying. What are you?
So we're okay.
Not literally. I'm figuratively trying to wrap my mind.
We were saying that, you know, nowadays you cannot survive on a 2-income household. So this, you know, you've been in a relationship for 6 months, and for some reason, I don't know, maybe he didn't get to work as many hours or something.
I don't. I cannot comprehend. It's not computing. Let me tell you why. It's not computing for me because, like I said, I am attracted to men who have their business together.
So you said
I have never.
It's
because
not a good analogy. Okay,
so he would always be prepared. Like that's what his savings
would be for. Okay.
Not to take me to the movies, but it would never occur to him. The type of man I'm attracted to, he would never admit to me that he can't afford no movie. If he in that situation, he ain't gonna say it to me. He's gonna be like, "Oh, let's just Netflix and chill." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay," but like I would not know because you gotta understand. I have dated these type of men. He would never say, "Hey, baby, I can't afford no movie." So yeah, you got to come with a different analogy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You pick a one.
Okay. So let's say we 6 months in, and my boo has been going through a hard time. So first of all, his business, because I'll be dating business
owners, okay.
His business, it's a slow season. Right. He's in a business where there's cyclical. It's a slow season, okay? And he doesn't make as much money during that season. And he knows that. He's prepared for that because he's an alpha male. So he got his situation together, but things are just hitting him left and right. So business is slow. He had a major repair on his home.
Okay.
Something happened with one of his cars. I'm just saying, I'm building a scenario that would make sense to me. Something happened with one of his cars. He had a new investment that he poured a lot of his liquid money into. A new investment. So
she said liquid
yeah.
liquid assets. Okay.
He had to liquidate some things. So all of this compounded to be, now I have had this happen, you know, we're not going to be going out as much because I got a lot going on. Okay. And I respect that.
Yeah, I can respect that.
I'm like, what kind of business deal is that? Because I would pay for you. I'll be paying for favor. I'll be paying things go well. So that's a different scenario, and I understand that. But no, it wouldn't be no movie.
So I think I guess the men that we would like, or men that you used to date,
and these are not, and let me be clear, these are not rich men. These are just like average Joes that really think things through and prepare and make moves for what's important to them.
Yeah.
Because I love me a good blue collar man. I love some
Right.
rough hands. You come home dirty, all that. Let me take care of you.
You know, fiscal responsibility.
Their mentality is that I'm trying to make moves, that I'm always growing. Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, fiscal responsibility is important to me, especially since I struggle in that area.
Yeah.
Opposites attract. So
in this, I guess the scenario that I was trying to say, it would be your support of him would not necessarily have to be financial. Like he wouldn't ask of you financial support. Like you said, can you pray for me? Or, you know, like we're going to have to make some adjustments. We're not going to be going out every night or every other night or however, you know, maybe.
Well, we in a relationship. We got weekly date nights.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe instead of going out, like you said, maybe you cook a dinner at home or something like that. Because
I love quality time.
Yeah.
But, and then like if we were, I don't believe in, this is probably hypocritical. I'm just so old school in my mentality that I'm old school enough to say that I would be the last somebody my man would come to for money, because he wouldn't even want me to know he having an issue, because he old school like that. You know, and that might be right. It might be wrong. I'm just saying that's what I have dealt with. Now I have had arguments before, but one argument where he wasn't necessarily asking me for money, but he was just like a little in his feelings. He felt like I was spoiled, because he's like always, I think it was something where we had taken my car for a date and I needed gas, and he always put gas in my car because alpha, you know, and or were we in his, I don't know what the scenario was, and I was entitled. I'm just expecting, like, of course, he always fill my tank up. And he was like, you never offered to fill my tank up. He's like, not once. All the time we've been together, you ain't never offered to fill my tank up. And it literally never occurred to me. But, you know, like I said, I like maturity a lot back then.
So, I think that's what I was trying to get to. Like, maybe you don't it won't always be financial, but like simple, I don't know. Something
as simple as he was basically saying, you know, sometimes you can look out for me the way I look out for you. So it wasn't about the tank of gas. It was about him feeling like she's spoiled, she's entitled, I'm always doing for her. And it doesn't even occur to her sometimes to do something like that, or to reach into my pocketbook for him. Right. Which is true. You shouldn't be selfish. No. And it should be, there should be times where you do things, not that I didn't do things, but like sometimes it is good to reach in. Like if you've been dating a long time, I'm sure he would love it if you just be like, oh, I got it.
You know, I got it tonight.
Yeah, it's on me. It's on me.
Right.
You know, just so that they feel like, oh, she cares for me like I care for her. So yes. Now, the woman I am now, if I have been dating you for a while, or even if I know you have a lot going on, you're getting on your feet, you got something, you know, if it feels like it's a stressful time for you, then I would say, oh, I got it. Or I would plan this little weekend for us, and I've already paid for everything. Okay. Does that answer your question sufficiently enough?
I believe that it does. Hey, got enough.
Okay. I was like, does she got something else? She got something else she wants to say? So, needless to say, there are a lot of different ways to look at gender roles when it comes to dating, and finances when it comes to dating. What do you think about? We have to talk about it. These women out here who take care of me.
That's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tune in for our next episode, where we have a little more girl talk, and we also include some biblical truths to help you understand and navigate this season of dating from a perspective of gender roles, finance, and what the Lord has to say. We'll see you next time.
Well, thank you so much for watching. You have just listened to another episode of Love, Truth, Wellness. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep the faith. Bye.